This is the Powell Pewter hammered metal drum side table. I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it. What it is, in plain terms, is a small side table with a hammered metal drum base and a solid mango wood top. I think it makes the most sense for someone who wants a table that does not disappear into the background. It has a lot of texture, and it reads more like a piece you place on purpose rather than just a spot to set a drink. It also works for someone who likes furniture that can move around easily, because I have shifted it between rooms more than once depending on what I needed that week. The reason I paid attention to this one is the combination of the pewter look metal and the distressed wood. Most side tables lean fully modern or fully rustic. This one sits in the middle, so it has been pretty easy to blend with different things I already own. In my space, I have a mix of warm wood tones and a couple darker metal accents, and this table did not clash. It kind of bridges those styles. Up close, the hammered texture is the whole point of the base. Light hits it in a way that changes throughout the day. In the morning, it looks softer and more matte, and at night with lamps on, the texture pops more. It does not look like a smooth, factory-perfect cylinder. It looks intentionally irregular, and that is what keeps it from feeling flat or boring. The wood top has visible grain and a worn-in finish. It feels like real wood in the hand, not a printed surface. Mine has little variations in tone, and I actually like that because it helps it feel less precious. I do not baby this table. I set things on it. I slide it a few inches on the rug when I am vacuuming, and I do not worry every time someone brings a glass over. Build-wise, the base feels solid. When I tapped on it and when I tried to wiggle it around, it did not flex or rattle. The seam work on mine is not something my eye lands on, which is a good thing. It looks clean enough that you are not thinking about how it is assembled. The top on mine sits securely. It does not feel like it is balancing. It has a sort of fitted feel where it stays put during normal use. The height has worked well next to my sofa and next to an armchair. I care about that more than I care about exact measurements, because if a side table is too low, you keep reaching down, and if it is too high, it feels awkward. This one sits in that comfortable zone where my drink is easy to reach, and I can set a book down without looking. Setup is basically nothing. You are not assembling legs or tightening hardware. For me, it was more about deciding where it should live. I tried it on hardwood and then on a rug. On hardwood, it felt stable, and on a rug, it felt even more planted. The base is wide enough that I have not had any moments where it felt tippy, even when I put heavier things on the top. Day to day, I use it like a normal side table. Coffee mug, water glass, remote control, my phone, sometimes a small plate. The top has a bit of character to it, so if you are the type who wants a perfectly uniform surface, that is not what this is. I do use coasters, not because I think it will instantly ruin the top, but because wood is wood and I do not want water rings. When I wiped it down, a slightly damp cloth was enough for routine cleaning. The metal base has been easy too. Dust shows up in the texture eventually, so I just run a cloth over it and it comes right off. One thing I actually tested, because I was curious, was using it as a planter-style piece the way some people do with drum bases. I put a faux tree in the opening, and it looked surprisingly natural, like an intentional decor choice rather than a workaround. The base is deep enough that the faux pot sat down inside and felt stable. I also tried a real plant briefly, but I would only do that if you are careful about water. If you put a live plant in there, I would use an inner liner or a tray, because I would not want moisture sitting inside the metal over time, and I would not want accidental water touching the wood top if you are moving things around. In real use, the stability has probably been the biggest practical win. I have a dog that brushes past furniture, and this table has not shifted easily. It is not so heavy that it is a pain to move, but it is heavy enough that it stays where I put it. That balance matters more than people think until they live with something day to day. There are a couple small limitations to mention. Because the base has that hammered texture, if you are dragging your fingers along it absent-mindedly, you will feel the unevenness. It is not sharp, but it is textured, so if you want perfectly smooth metal, this is not that. Also, the distressed wood look means it is not trying to look flawless. If you want a pristine, perfectly finished tabletop with zero variation, you might see the character marks as imperfections. To me, it just reads as a more relaxed surface that fits the overall style. Another practical note is that this is a side table, not a big surface. It holds the daily essentials, but if you are someone who wants to spread out a laptop, a notebook, a snack, and a drink all at the same time, you will feel the limits. For a normal living room setup, it has been enough for how I actually use it. One more thing I should address, because I review a lot of tech and people ask about it even on furniture videos, is smart features and app support. There are none here. No mobile app, no pairing, no settings. For me, that is fine. This is a physical object that either works in your space or it does not, and the experience is all about the materials, the stability, and whether it fits your daily habits. Overall, after living with it, I would describe it as a practical side table that also brings some visual texture into a room. It is sturdy. It feels well made in the ways that matter during daily use, and it has been flexible enough that I have used it both as a normal table and as a decor piece when I wanted to change things up. If your space leans very minimal and you want everything to visually disappear, this might feel like too much personality. If you like a mix of wood and metal and you want something that looks intentional without being fragile, it makes sense. I will update specific information about the Powell Pewter hammered metal drum side table in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.